Man, I have been sitting on this video for months. Also, I can ask, can I beat a Pokemon Scarlet Hardcore Nuzlocke using only Pokemon from Gen 2? In my personal opinion, Pokemon introduced in Gold and Silver are the weakest Pokemon of the bunch. Now, of course, we got some amazing Pokemon, but I know this will be a challenge. This is an idea I nabbed from my pal Pokemon Garden, and if you want, check out my video where I only use Gen 5 Pokemon in Pokemon X. Here are the rules I'll be using. I'll be playing under the Hardcore rule set, so if a Pokemon faints, they'll no longer be able to be used, no healing items in battle, no switching Pokemon after another faints to reset tempo, I must meet each gym or boss fight with a level cap, and so on, you get the picture. I also typically end up banning generational gimmicks, but for this Nuzlocke, I'm going to be allowing terrestrialization. I figured since the Pokemon I'm allowed to use will be very limited, I figured a boost will be a little bit necessary. I'll be taking on everything, all the way up to Professor Sada, or as I like to call her, Mommy Sada. With that, let's get this challenge started. I start by choosing Fuecoco so my rival would choose Sprigatito. This does make the late game tricky with Flower Trick and its constant crits, so I thought I would give myself a bit of a challenge. And then I go and catch my first Pokemon and my starter, Hoppip. After meeting my caveman bike, I catch a Paldean Wooper, which I'll be allowing use of, but I cannot evolve it. I do some maneuvering, catching a Mareep and Phanpy before going to school. Then I catch a Sunkern in the Victory Road area. I catch a floating Houndour, and a Azurill in a den with a poison type Terra, and a Murkrow. Then soon after that, it's time to battle Katie. If you don't know, we stand Katie supremacy here. But that doesn't mean I'll go easy on her. A Terra boosted Flamethrower, which I found exploring the overworld, takes out her Nimble, Tarantula, and Teddiursa pretty easily. I get my first badge, and go on a little cupcake date with my girl.
Cringe.
Clock goes down pretty easily to Meryl, and then we take on Barasius, who actually is a little tricky. His Petalil can be annoying with sleep powders, and that Sudowoodo of course has Rock Throw and Sturdy, so I can't really just rely on Houndour to beat him like I did with Katie. So I lead with Wooper. I avoid his Sleep Powder and set up Toxic Spikes. Knowing another Sleep Powder is incoming, I set up another Toxic Spikes, and my Chesto Berry activates. Then finally, after falling asleep for real, I switch into Houndour, taking a Giga Drain. Flamethrower takes out Petalil, Smoliv comes out next, and after terrestrializing, also goes down to a Flamethrower. Sudowoodo comes out next, getting poisoned, and after Sudowoodo terrestrializes itself, I use Protect, blocking a Rock Throw, and poison damage eliminates that pesky Sturdy, allowing my next Flamethrower to burn the tree. I get my second badge and I go catch a Stantler with Intimidate, a Teddiursa, and then go fight Bombirdier. It takes a couple Thunderbolts to take stage 1 of the fight out, injuring Flaffy to about half of its health. Then on stage 2, I switch into Stantler, wanting to get Intimidates off. Arven's Nassel takes out Bombirdier while I focus on weakening its attack with Intimidate and Charms. Then I catch a Dunsparce and trade my Paldean Wooper for its Johtoian counterpart, and then I take on my first Team Star base. Giacomo starts off by sending out Pawniard, and I send out Phanpy. Pawniard hits a Metal Claw, and Bulldoze takes Pawniard down to about 1/3 of health. Unfortunately though, Phanpy is still slower even after a Bulldoze, and thanks to Defiant, Phanpy gets hit hard. But it does survive, and the next Bulldoze takes it out. It's Reveroom's turn next, and I switch into my Stantler, getting an Intimidate off, taking a Snarl in the process. After getting about 4 sand attacks, I switch into Quagsire. I get 4 Mud Shots off and switch into Azumarill. Even though I'm still not fast enough, I'm able to take Reveroom out after about 4 surfs. Base 1 completed. Next fight is Iono. She leads with Wattrel and I lead with Quagsire. Quagsire tanks a Pluck, and then takes Wattrel down with a Rock Tomb. Luxio comes out next, intimidating my boy. It does a bit of damage with Bite, and Bulldoze takes it down to the yellow. Its next bite flinches, and after taking one more bite, Bulldoze finishes Luxio off. Bellybolt comes out next. It uses Water Gun, healing my Quagsire a bit thanks to Water Absorb, and I use Yawn. Then I switch Sunflora out into a Spark, and Bellybolt falls asleep. I switch Quagsire back in, and after setting up with Amnesia, I take Bellybolt out with 2 Bulldozes. Miss Magius comes out next, and after terrestrializing, it uses Hex, only doing a little bit of damage. My Rock Tomb does a bit of damage, and after a bit of time, I am able to take Miss Magius out. I legitly would not have been able to beat her without Amnesia. So that's badge number 3. Then after catching a Larvitar, I take on Mila. 2 Bulldozes takes out Torkoal, then Rivaroom comes out. It starts off with a Screech and I use Bulldoze. Then I switch into Azumarill, taking a weak Blazing Torque. Then after it uses Screech, I use Surf. It uses Blazing Torque and I use another Surf. The sun goes away at the end of that turn, and after taking an Overheat, Azumarill's Surf takes out the modded car. Houndoom then takes out the weakest Titan in the game with a Flamethrower, and then after catching a Girafarig, I battle Kofu. He sends out Veluza, and I send out Ampharos. Ampharos tanks an Aqua Cutter, and then a Thunderbolt takes the fish out. Wugtrio comes out next. It uses Headbutt and gets paralyzed, and 1 Thunderbolt takes it out as well. Crabominal comes out next. I switch into Jump Pluff, taking a Crab Hammer. I start off using Mega Drain, and Crabominal misses a Slam. I use Mega Drain again, and Slam hits this time. But nothing to fear. 2 more Mega Drains takes the Crab out, and I get Kofu's badge. Up next is Atticus, who uses my favorite Pokemon type. He leads with Skuntank and I lead with Azumarill. I know what you're thinking. Why use a fairy type when it's weak to poison? Well, if you remember, I caught this in a poison den. So I start this battle off by terrestrializing into a poison type. Skuntank uses Toxic, and of course, it fails. And my Surf does some huge damage. Then I use Charm a few times, baiting the Sucker Punch, and after taking 2 weak Venishocks, Surf takes it out. A normal Rivaroom comes out next, and I switch into Stantler, getting an Intimidate off, but also taking an Iron Head. After taking another Iron Head, I put the engine to sleep with Hypnosis, and then switch into Houndoom. 1 Flamethrower takes it out, and out comes Muck. Flamethrower does some big damage, and Houndoom takes a decent Sludge Wave. 1 more Flamethrower takes Muck out, and out comes the second Rivaroom. I switch into Donphan, taking a Noxious Torque and getting poisoned in the process. Then after taking a Spin Out, Bulldoze does about 1/3 of damage. I then switch into Azumarill, taking another Spin Out. Surf does a bit of damage and it uses Flame Charge, raising its speed. I then switch into Houndoom, expecting another Flame Charge, but it uses Spin Out. I then use Protect, then it tries to use Flame Charge. Weird, but okay. I do use Flamethrower, taking the car almost to the red, and it does use Flame Charge, activating Houndoom's Flash Fire, guaranteeing my next Flamethrower takes it out. Then I catch a Pinecone Sudowoodo, and then take on the gym leader, everyone but me, Sims 4, Larry. Again, we believe in KD supremacy here. I lead with Stantler against his Kamala, starting off getting an Intimidate. This is the battle I learned what Comatose does, because I try to use Hypnosis, and it does not work, and I get yawned in the process. Great! I then use a Sand Attack and get hit with a somewhat strong Slam, falling asleep in the process. I then switch into Pupitar, taking a Slam, and switch back into Stantler. I do this until Kamala's attack's at -6. Then after waking up, I do a few more Sand Attacks, and then switch into Houndoom, taking a weak Slam. I then use Nasty Plot and get hit with Yawn. I get off 1 more Nasty Plot and avoid a Slam before falling asleep. I'm asleep for a while, avoiding hits, and when I wake up, I do 1 more Nasty Plot. I then terrestrialize and take Kamala out with a Flamethrower. The Dunsparce goes down as well, and so does Staraptor. I was a bit afraid of Staraptor, but I didn't have to worry about it thanks to my invested speed EVs. Next up is Rhyme. I lead with Ampharos and Houndoom against her Bayonet and Mimikyu. Ampharos takes a Sucker Punch from Bayonet, then goes down to Houndoom's Dark Pulse. Ampharos then takes a Slash and gets off a Thunderbolt, taking out Mimikyu's Disguise. Houndstone comes out next, but it doesn't stay long, because Dark Pulse takes it out. Then after Ampharos takes 1 more Slash, Thunderbolt takes Mimikyu out. Toxtricity comes out next. I switch Ampharos out just to be safe and send out some Flora. Toxtricity terrestrializes into a Ghost type, and then it becomes a true Ghost, going down to Houndoom's Dark Pulse. Rhyme goes down pretty easily, which is surprising because I tend to struggle with her a little bit at least. I'm not great with double battles. Then I take out the Great Tusk and Tulip pretty easily, catching an Umbreon and taking on the last gym leader, Grusha. Grusha leads with Frostmoth and I lead with my trusty Houndoom. I terrestrialize right away and use Flamethrower, taking out the Moth. Beartic comes out next and goes down to Flamethrower as well. Titan comes out next, but doesn't go down thanks to its thick fat, and Houndoom almost goes down to a liquidation. Crap. I switch it in Azumarill, taking an Ice Shard. Then, after taking an Ice Spinner, Surf takes Titan out. Altaria comes out next. It terrestrializes and uses Hurricane, doing some decent damage and confuses me. I do manage to get a Surf off though. I switch into Stantler, taking an Ice Beam. I take a risk, using Hypnosis, and it pays off. I then use Stomp and Altaria wakes up, but it's flinched. Then I get another Hypnosis off and take Altaria out with 2 more Stomps, getting my last badge. Then I catch an Espeon, take out Ortiga and the False Dragon Titan, But then I run into a little bit of trouble. I start my battle with Aerie, gently lead with my Azumarill when I should have led with my Donphan. I switch her in and then take a Poison Jab. Then after a Brick Break, Stomp and Tantrum takes out Aerie's Toxicroak, and Passimian comes out next. Donphan takes a strong close combat, and Stomping Tantrum almost takes the Passimian out. I then switch Donphan out for Azumarill, taking a Seed Bomb. Then after avoiding a Rock Tomb, Passimian goes down. Annihilape is out next. It uses Fire Punch and I start charming. After taking another Fire Punch, Play Rough does about half damage. Then, Rage Fist takes Azumarill down to 50 HP, and Surf takes Annihilape down to yellow. I then switch into Jumpluff and Rage Fist crits and takes it out. And that, my friends, marks the first death of the run. I send Quagsire out and Bulldoze takes the ape down to 1 HP. Jeez. After taking one more Rage Fist, Annihilape goes down. Lucario is out next and I switch into Sunflora, taking an Aura Sphere. I take another Aura Sphere and I set up Light Screen. I do manage to take Lucario out thanks to the Giga Drain Leech Seed Light Screen combo, and then out comes Reverum. I switch into Espeon, taking a Combat Torque. Then after a Shift Gear, Psychic does massive damage. Reverum uses Shift Gear again, and Espeon's next Psychic takes it out. That was a pretty dangerous battle, and I probably would have wiped if not for the bad AI. I then catch a Scyther I don't end up using because I don't evolve it, and catch a Heracross before fighting the last trainer before the Elite Four, Clavel. He leads with Oranguru, and I lead with Houndoom. I start with a Protect to scout a Yawn. Then I use Dark Pulse and it doesn't kill, and I get Yawned anyway. I then switch Quagsire into Foul Play, and then both of us uses Yawn. I then switch back into my Doggo, and take a Foul Play with Oranguru falling asleep. I start setting up my nasty plots, and after the second one, Oranguru wakes up, and uses Yawn. Well, that's my own fault. I then switch back into Quagsire and get Yawned. After taking a Foul Play, I yawn back and then fall asleep. I switch back into Houndoom and Oranguru uses Dream Eater before falling asleep itself. I then use one nasty plot and kill the ape with my Flamethrower. Clavel sends out his Houndoom next, and after realizing I don't have anything that could really hit it, I switch Quagsire into a Sludge Bomb. I go for an Earthquake trying to wake up, and Dark Pulse does some serious damage as I stay asleep. I then switch into Fortress, taking a big Dark Pulse, and then switch Houndoom into a Fire Blast. I then switch into Blissey, taking a Sludge Bomb. I actually really have no idea what I was doing this battle. Blissey takes a Thunderfang while doing very little damage with Takedown. After another Thunderfang, I use Soft Boil Egg. I then switch into Stantler, taking a Thunderfang. Then after avoiding a Fire Blast, I hit a Strong Stomp. Then I switch Houndoom in with my Flash Fire activating. Then I do a nasty plot, tanking a Sludge Bomb. Dark Pulse takes Clavel's Houndoom out. A Flamethrower takes out Abomasnow. Dark Pulse takes out Poltegeist. And Flamethrower also takes out Amoonguss. But then out comes Quaquaval. I switch Quagsire into an Aqua Step, getting some health back with Water Absorb. And then I take a Brick Break, unable to wake up. All my Pokemon on my team are weak to fighting, so I decide to risk it. Quagsire takes another Brick Break, but then this time it wakes up and I use Yawn. I then switch into Fortress, tanking a Brick Break, and the duck falls asleep. I switch into Houndoom using Protect, waiting for it to wake up, but it does not. Then I switch into Quagsire, Quaquaval wakes up, and Aqua Step heals me up again. After taking a Brick Break, I get an Earthquake off, doing less than half damage wise. Then it uses Ice Spinner, and I get another Yawn off. I then switch into Stantler, getting an Intimidate off but still taking a very strong Brick Break. But the duck does fall asleep. I manage to get one Stomp off before it wakes up and Aqua Step finishes Stantler off. I then switch into Ursaring, taking an Aqua Step before I finish that duck off with Slash. Losing my Intimidator before the Elite Four really sucks, but I do have a plan on how I'm going to handle this Elite Four. My team going in is going to be Fortress, Quagsire, Tyranitar, Girafarig, Umbreon, and Houndoom. Fortress, Quagsire, and Umbreon are going to be my tanks and support mons. Fortress with Spikes is going to be very important for a few Pokemon with Sturdy. Umbreon and Girafarig both have Baton Pass, so I could do some setup. And Tyranitar is my big answer for Hassle. And also it doesn't hurt that Houndoom wrecks half of Gita's team. So let's see how this plays out. First one up is Rika. She sends out Wishcash and I send out Fortress. It uses Muddy Water and I start out setting up Spikes. Then I predict the Muddy Water switching to Quagsire, getting a safe switch in. Quagsire tanks an Earth Power and I use Yawn. I then switch into Umbreon with Earth Power not affecting it due to holding an air balloon, and I manage to get one Calm Mind off before Wishcash wakes up and misses another Muddy Water. I was able to set up 2 more Calm Minds before Muddy Water hit, lowering Umbreon's accuracy. Umbreon then gets hit with another accuracy lowering Muddy Water, and then I Baton Pass into Manchester. I get hit with an Earth Power and use Yawn. I basically do the same strategy, but this time I get 3 Calm Minds off before it wakes up, and hits me with an accuracy lowering Muddy Water. Then after getting hit with an Earth Power, I Baton Pass into Girafarig. After terrestrializing into a pure normal type, Energy Ball takes Wishcash out. Camerupt comes out next and goes down into an Energy Ball. Same with Donphan, Dugtrio, and Clodsire. Rika goes down, and up next is Poppy. She sends out Copperaja and I send out Fortress. I start off by setting up Spikes again, and Copperaja uses Stealth Rocks. I switch into Quagsire, taking a weak Heavy Slam. Then after taking a crit Play Rough, I use Yawn. I then Earthquake expecting it to live, but it actually takes the elephant out. Dang, that was a waste of a turn. Corviknight comes out next, and after using an Iron Defense, I use Yawn. I switch into Umbreon next, and get hit with a pretty strong Body Press. Corviknight falls asleep, and then I use Moonlight. It then wakes up next turn, hits me with another strong Body Press, and I use Calm Mind. I then switch into Quagsire, taking another Body Press. It then uses Iron Defense, and I go for Yawn. It uses Iron Defense again, and I use Aqua Tail doing very little damage. I send Houndoom out next. I go for one Nasty Plot, risking it waking up, and luckily it does not. I kill the bird with a Flamethrower, and Bronzong comes out next. I then Terrasilize, taking Bronzong out with a Flamethrower. Magnezone comes out next, and thanks to Spikes, Sturdy is eliminated. And it goes down to Flamethrower as well. Tinkaton is out next, and of course, it goes down to Flamethrower. The Lolly is beaten, and out comes everybody's favorite businessman, Larry. I wish it was Katie. He goes down pretty easily. I Calm Mind 6 times, Baton Pass into Girafarig, and take out everyone with Psychic. Again, easy peasy. Next up though is Hassel, and his Dragon types definitely match his namesake. I of course lead with Umbreon against his Noivern. I start Sand Attacking, and after Sand Attacking and Calm Minding 6 times, I Baton Pass into Tyranitar. Then after tanking Air Slash, I start to Dragon Dance. I get to +6 attack and plus speed, and then go on a tear, taking out Noivern, Dragulge, Haxorus, Flapple, and of course Baxcalibur. You know what they say, overkill is best kill. I take Hassel out, and now it's time to take on the champion Geeta. She leads with Esprotha, and I lead with Houndoom. I decide to go straight for a Dark Pulse since setting up on Esprotha can be very dangerous, thanks to its ability, and it goes down. Then I take both Avalugg and King Gambit out with Flamethrower, but I do make a somewhat silly mistake switching Quagsire in when Veluza comes out, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. It just sucks that you can't play in set no more. It's an easy mistake. I get hit with the Liquidation thanks to Veluza's Mold Breaker ability, but I use Bulldoze lowering its speed. Then after getting hit with another Liquidation, 2 more Bulldozes take it out. Go-Goat comes out next, and then I switch Houndoom into a Horn Leech. Flamethrower takes out the Goat, and Glamora comes out next. I switch Umbreon in, taking an Earth Power. Then after taking a Terra Blast, I use Sand Attack. I then take a Dazzling Gleam, and then use Calm Mind. This goes on for a little while. After setting up my special defense, I go into Fortress, I hit hard with a Heavy Slam, and then get hit with a Terra Blast. I use Curse, boosting my attack and defense, lowering my speed, avoid another Terra Blast, and take Glamora out with my next Heavy Slam. I beat the champion, but we have 4 more battles before the challenge is won. First up is Penny. We both lead with Umbreon. I do my normal Calm Mind setup strat, and after 6 Calm Minds, I Baton Pass into Ampharos. After taking a Dark Pulse, Dragon Pulse doesn't kill, which is kind of weird. And then after taking a Quick Attack, Penny's Umbreon goes down. Flareon comes out next, and after taking a strong Flare Blitz, Power Gem takes Flareon out. Vaporeon comes out next. I avoid a Hydro Pump and take Vaporeon out with a Thunderbolt. Leafeon comes out next, and since I know a Leaf Blade will take Ampharos out, I switch into Heracross. Then I take out Leafeon with a Mega Horn, and Jolteon comes out next. I switch Donphan into a Baby Doll Eyes, and after another Baby Doll Eyes, I use Bulldoze. After taking a Quick Attack, my next Bulldoze takes Jolteon out. Sylveon comes out next. It does a very strong Moon Blast, and I hit it with a Bulldoze. I then switch into a Moonblast that does way more than I was thinking. Dang. I then switch Tyranitar into a super effective Moonblast. But then I Terrasilize, losing the Dark type, almost taking Sylveon out with an Earthquake. Moonblast almost takes Tyranitar out. Luckily, since I was faster, my next Earthquake takes Sylveon out. Penny goes down, and it's now time to fight Arven. He leads with Greedent and I lead with Umbreon. After using Sand Attack and Calm Mining 6 times, I Baton Pass into Heracross. Then after bulking up 6 times, all 6 of Arven's Pokemon go down no issue. But now, it's time to fight the true champion, Nemona. She sends out Lycanroc and I send out Umbreon. Nemona starts off with a Stealth Rock and I start off using Sand Attack. You know where this is going. After setting up 6 Sand Attacks and 6 Calm Mines, I Baton Pass into Girafarig. Then after avoiding the Drill Run, I take it out with a Psychic. Palmet comes out next, and after a strong close combat, it goes down to a Psychic. The Dunsparce goes down to a Psychic as well, and out comes Orthworm. I then Baton Pass into Houndoom, and Iron Tail hits hard and lowers my defense. I take the Worm out with a Flamethrower, Goodra out with a Dark Pulse, and Meowscarada out with a Flamethrower. Nemona's down, and now it's time to take on the final battle of the game. Professor Sada, or AI Sada technically. Everyone on my team is pretty much what I've been using with the exception of adding and leading with Azumarill against Sada's Slitherwing. It starts off using a lunge, lowering Azumarill's attack, and I hit it with a charm. Then I take a Zen Headbutt, retorting with another charm. I take one more Zen Headbutt and I use my last charm. After taking another Zen Headbutt, I use Bounce. I get hit with Zen Headbutt one more time before Bounce takes Slitherwing down close to the red. Well, I was trying to paralyze. That didn't work out too well. I then switch Umbreon into a Zen Headbutt, and after taking a lunge, I start doing my Sand Attack combo. I set up 6 Sand Attacks and switch into Tyranitar. I then Terastallize into a pure Rock type and start setting up Dragon Dance. I get a +6 in attack and a 5 in speed, and the battle's won. Dragonclaw takes Slitherwing and Brute Bonnet out, Earthquake takes Sandy Shocks, Screamtails and Fluttermane out, and Dragonclaw takes out Roaring Moon. And with that, I beat a Hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Scarlet using only Gen 2 Pokemon. This was a really fun challenge. I have a lot of fun doing Scarlet and Violet Nuzlockes, but unfortunately not a lot of time. Personally, I've been having some difficulty trying to find the best balance between trying to make content and work, and so far it's been very difficult. I recently got a new job, and it's helped me out a lot. I've felt more motivated, I've started streaming a lot more frequently, and I figured I wanted to get this video done before the new year. I am very close to getting 1,000 subscribers, and I want to reach that, but I also know I need to be more consistent. So, my one goal for this new year is to upload a lot more frequently. Try and come up with videos outside of my streams that I can upload. At least that's kind of the plan. I hope you'll stick with me through this journey as I try and figure out what I need to do, and let's make 2024 a great year. Stay safe, everybody, and I'll catch you later. Peace.